live. Just making sure we're live on Facebook as well. Please do bear with me one moment. It's actually okay. It's a good time to let other people join in as well, right? Is the way I see it. If anybody's live on Facebook, please let me know if you can see me. I've been having a lot of technical issues with going live on Facebook, so I don't know if I'm live or not. I'm just checking. And yes, we will see if Facebook is live. Let's see, let's have a look. Yes, it's worked. It's worked. Beautiful, perfect. Okay, straight in today. Love that. Okay, so good evening, everybody. My name is Genesis, aka the Nutri Guy, and it's that time of the week again. Welcome to Top Tip Tuesday. And this is an opportunity for me to basically share my top tips. I have so much information in this brain of mine that I want to share with you guys. So I figured once a week, every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. UK time, I will share my top tips with you guys, basically. And last week I shared my top tips with you on how to get yourself in calorie deficit. And that was quite an interesting topic whereby, yeah, literally I just shared my top tips from fasting to moving around more, etc. on how to get yourself in calorie deficit. This week, I decided I want to talk to you guys about supplements. Supplements is something I hear a lot of people asking me about, talking about, so I figured today, let's talk about supplements. I'm going to share with you my top 3 tips in terms of what supplements, if any, should you take that I personally would recommend and that I take as well. And I will also then go into sharing with you a few of the top brands that I recommend. And of course, I will share with you what is the appropriate dose that you should be taking. Because remember, you can obviously take too much, which of course can be of detriment to one's health. And the last thing that I want is for somebody to come off this live and go, well, G told me that I should be taking this amount and that amount and that amount. I did not tell you to do that. So I'll make it 33. I'll give it a couple more minutes and then I will dive straight into sharing my top tips with you guys. And of course, as per usual, there will be an article to follow this straight after as well. Okay. And by all means, of course, if anybody does have any questions, please feel free to share or to ask, etc. And I'm more than happy to help. Gotta stay hydrated, folks. Let's have a look. Is anybody in? Is anybody join me? Is anybody live? I'll make it a 35 and then I will get started properly, okay? So is anybody there? Hello? Is anybody there? Okay. I have a tendency to miss comments sometimes, you see, that's why I have to yeah, just go back over and scroll back over it. Okay, well, looks like we're live, so I'll just keep going. So, for anybody who may have just joined us, my name is Genesis, aka the Nutri Guy, and this is Top Tip Tuesday. And this is Top Tip Tuesday, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my top 3 supplements that you should be taking. The top 3 supplements that I take. I will also share with you what dose you should be taking, and then I'll go straight into recommending a couple of brands. And then of course, if anybody's around, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. So let's talk about supplements. Now, most people probably are taking, as we speak, be it yourself or somebody that you may know, probably is taking some sort of vitamins, some minerals, or dietary supplements. I'm sure probably if you were to go to your cupboard right now, you probably have got something in there that resembles some sort of a supplement. At the bare minimum, more than likely going to be some sort of a multivitamin, right? And of course, by definition, a dietary supplement is actually a manufactured product that is actually intended to supplement one's diet, to provide them with, for example, any sort of vitamins, minerals that they may be missing, and it's normally extracted from some sort of a food source, or it can also be synthetic. Okay, so that's the definition of what a dietary supplement. So you see there as well, the key word in there is a dietary supplement. So I suppose at this point it's quite important to know, of course, by all means, there are multiple benefits to taking dietary supplements. Of course, there's multiple benefits. However, I think it's important to note that the supplements should not be your number one point of call. I think we live in a culture whereby the supplement comes first before the food. That should never be the case at all. You know, food comes first. One of my favorite quotes is by Hippocrates, and he actually said, you know, let food be thine medicine, because that's how it should be. We should be getting a lot of our vitamins and our minerals from food first. Okay, now I completely appreciate and understand that you know, it is not always necessarily possible for an individual to be getting all the vitamins and minerals they need from their diet, be it because of lack of access to good quality food, or maybe just simply because of a certain medical condition that requires them to supplement. Completely understand that before people start crucifying me and say, yeah, but you know, yeah, but gee, the food is not all that good nowadays and it's all GMO, etc., etc. Now, I get that, but still, I'll always encourage you to make sure that you understand that a varied diet is your number one, first and foremost, source of your vitamins and minerals. And of course, by all means, like I said, we need to supplement. So I'm going to give the people what they want, which is to actually talk about these supplements. Now, not all supplements are made alike. We have to remember that, right? You know, the supplement market is a very, very, very big, very lucrative industry. It is. But there's so many of these supplements. But what ones are you supposed to be taking? You know, what quality? You know, I mentioned earlier how they come in so many different forms. You get them in tablets, in capsules, in liquids, in gummies. You get them in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and you know, most people are taking along with vitamins, minerals, dietary supplements, they're then also taking pharmaceutical medicine. I can imagine some people are walking around literally like just clinging around because we're taking so many pills. So you have to understand, not all supplements are made alike. And that's where someone like me will come in handy to support you in understanding which ones should you be taking and which ones should you not. Now, first of all, number one, let me make it clear. Not everybody needs to be taking a multivitamin. You don't. Period. You actually don't. Most of you people out there are taking vitamins and minerals. You're literally just paying for an expensive pee. I'm gonna call it like it is. Most of you, I'll repeat that. Most of you out there who are taking multivitamins are literally just paying for an expensive pee. Like, that's a fact, because not everybody needs a vitamin, a mineral, or a dietary supplement. You just don't. I think first of all, you have to be sure that, you know, it's a more targeted approach, because what happens is with some of these dietary supplements, especially with the multivitamins, I'm really not a fan of multivitamins, because a multivitamin by definition is actually just a shot in the dark. It's, well, I don't know what I'm missing, so you know what, I'm just gonna keep throwing until something sticks. That to me can actually also be, you know, professionally speaking, can also be dangerous, because actually you may already, so let's say for example a multivitamin contains 10 vitamins and minerals, right? And let's say actually you're already getting 2 of those within your diet and probably in excess, right? And then you add this multivitamin. Now you've actually doubled up on those 2. You could actually end up with some level of toxicity there, or at the very lower end of it, you're just paying for an expensive pee, wasting your money, literally. I am not a fan of multivitamins, like, period. Maybe for children, that's a different story, but today my audience is not children. I'm talking to, you know, the grown-ups, as it were. So, yeah, number one, not everybody needs a supplement. Nope. With all my patients, I don't just go around recommending you take X, Y, and Z, because as I said, food should be your first point of call. Okay? So, we talked about how I do not believe everybody needs to be taking them. I think they should be targeted specifically to you, your needs. What do you feel like you're missing? What do you know that you're lacking? And that's a clue there as to one of my top 3 that I think everybody should be taking. Okay? Not everybody. Multivitamins, honestly, nah, don't recommend them whatsoever. And as well as that, there's levels to these vitamins and minerals, you see. There really is. I used to work in Harley Street for the Queen's Pharmacy, and the supplement department is absolutely huge. So I've worked with a lot of the top brands, you know, from your Solgas to, well, for those who may know their supplements, from the bottom end, Wellman, Wellwoman, to your Solga top end. And on top of that as well, there's different types, like I said, pills, capsules, liquids, etc. I tend to opt more for capsule and liquid supplements, can I just say. And I'll tell you why, right? So for that tablet to hold itself together, be it pharmaceutical medicine or a vitamin, a mineral, etc., for it to hold itself together, it needs something called a binder to actually hold it together. Most binders are actually made from magnesium stearate. Magnesium stearate is basically like soap scum, to put it bluntly. And a lot of the time your body doesn't actually need any of that. That's where the supplement industry has actually evolved. I like capsules or liquid, where some of these capsules, right, they instead of having these binders and fillers your body doesn't like, they tend to actually be filled with herbs instead, because obviously you only need a small dose, but you can't give a person that small dose. It has to go into this pill or capsule form, if you like. Now, there's something that's now, again, where, you know, supplements have evolved so much. There's something called food state supplements. There is a reason why, be it your medicine or your vitamins and minerals, you're told to take them with food. And the reason for that is primarily because the body does not actually recognize isolates. You know, if you're taking like a, I don't know, pure vitamin C on its own, when you ingest that, your body's like, well, what is this? Or what are we supposed to do with this, my friend? And that's where your GP will be telling you about take it with food, because then as you take it with food, it kind of integrates with that food and your body's more likely to recognize it, if you like. You see why now they tell you to take it with food? It ain't because it's going to hurt your stomach or anything like that. No, it's primarily to do with the fact that your body does not recognize things that are isolated. Nature doesn't really provide things in isolation, does it? When you think about all the food and the drink that you have, it tends to be a combination of different things going on there. And that's how your body prefers things, like as a whole, rather than just singular. And yeah, this is where, again, I like this food state supplement. So there's a few leading brands in terms of food state supplements. Companies, for example, Terra Nova, that's one of my favorite ones. I'll list a few of these. Now, with these food state supplements, what they do is, so on this note as well, high dose doesn't always necessarily mean that it's the best thing for you. It doesn't. I'm going to tell you now, because again, so you've taken something isolated and then you've taken a high dose. Some of these things your body will not actually fully absorb. You're paying for an expensive pee. You're literally just going to piss it out. So again, high dose doesn't, just because you took a high dose, doesn't mean your body actually absorbed it and utilized it very well. Okay, we have to remember that. It does not mean to say your body's actually absorbed and utilized that well. This is where I like this idea of food state supplements, they're called. There's a few brands, if you Google that, food state supplements. Now with these, the way they're designed is that they actually have, whereby, now I mentioned the binders and the fillers tend to be some sort of food state. So it literally, your body recognizes it like, oh, this is a food. And then you don't actually need a high dose, because then what happens is, if you, just because it's low dose, you want it to be more utilized, don't you? So even if it's a low dose, if it's coming into your body as food state, you're more likely to actually absorb that, utilize it, and then it actually works for you, rather than high dose, don't know what to do it, so I'm just gonna pay it out. Let's stop wasting our money, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to anybody who may be joining us. You are tuned into Top Tip Tuesday, and today I'm talking to you guys about my top 3 supplements. I'm about to go into my top 3, so you haven't missed out on anything. I was just giving a backstory as to you know, the nature of vitamins and minerals and dietary supplements, how they work, which ones are good, which ones are bad, and things like that. And I was just talking about how I like food state supplements. If you're going to take anything, food state supplements are going to be better. And even liquid ones as well are just as good, because again, it's about how well are we absorbing that and avoiding any of those nasty binders and fillers that our bodies don't actually need. Okay, so now you understand how there's levels to the different type of supplements that we can have. And we'll go into my top 3 supplements that I think you should be taking or you should have in your cupboard. Now, in light of COVID, restrictions, everybody's been staying at home, and I told everybody, lockdown 1, when it first happened, I told everybody, I said, you guys want to be taking your vitamin D, but no, nobody wanted to listen to G. And then guess what? A couple of weeks later, the government's saying to everybody, yeah, you need to be taking your vitamin D, to a point whereby if you live in the UK, NHS, especially people of colour, you can actually get vitamin D prescribed for free. So, on that note, let's jump straight into it. Supplement number 1. What do I recommend? The first supplement that I recommend would be, first and foremost, vitamin D. Bear with me one moment. Weird sound. Okay, so the first one that I recommend would be vitamin D. Vitamin D, and I'll tell you why I recommend vitamin D. Vitamin D, okay, it's a fat-soluble vitamin, and there's vitamin D1, D2, and D3. It's D3 that we're talking about here, okay? Because the way it works is, it's known as the sun vitamin, right? Vitamin D is the sun vitamin, and we naturally actually produce this. Our bodies naturally produce this when we're exposed to sunlight, and its functions include things like the most common ones everybody knows about, that being it helps us to, in terms of developing strong bones and teeth, as we all know. However, I was reading a couple of studies. There's 3 unknown facts about vitamin D3 in terms of its actual benefits. So, the first one would be, I was reading the Journal of Clinical Nutrition, and a study done in 2010, and they actually found that vitamin D can actually work to boost your immune system. Did you know? That's right, boost your immune system. Move out the way, vitamin C. Welcome vitamin D3. D3 can actually help to boost your immunity. The study actually found that people who were taking calcium with D3 found that they had a natural likelihood of, lower likelihood of actually having the common cold, the flu, influenza. How amazing is that? Most people didn't know that, right? And then another study that I found as well, Journal of Cardiovascular Disease, found that a study in 2008 found that supplementing with vitamin D can actually decreases the chance of you actually having a heart attack. And then the third unknown fact about vitamin D3, which I found quite interesting, along with obviously helping to reduce depression, did you know? Not just because you're sitting on a beach and soaking it up, but genuinely people who had fibromyalgia were found to also have higher levels of depression, and supplementing with D3 actually reduced the likelihood of depression and anxiety. But the interesting one was D3 was found to also be linked to actually boosting weight loss. Now this was interesting. D3 linked to decreasing weight loss, and this study actually found that supplementing with calcium and vitamin D had an appetite suppressing effect. Really interesting, right? Appetite suppressing effect. And I think, yeah, definitely vitamin D3 is a really great one for all of us to be taking, purely because of our bones, our teeth, but more primarily helping to boost our immunity, which is the fighting disease side of things, decrease your likelihood of heart disease, reduce your depression, and also boosting your weight loss. That sounds to me like a multivitamin. And when it comes to D3, I recommend Nature's Answer liquid drops, okay? Come in a little bottle like that, quite cost effective. Couple of drops straight underneath the tongue. Works wonders. My whole family take that. It's in a suspension of olive oil, so literally when I say you need just a drop, literally that is all you need. The government recommends that we take 400 international units, which is the equivalent of 10 micrograms. I personally recommend a little bit more, especially for people of color. I myself actually take 2,000 international units a day, just to put things in perspective for you there. I'm not telling you to go and do that, I'm just telling you what I take, and the fact that I believe we should definitely be taking a little bit more than what the government recommends, based on the fact that we've all been in lockdown, we haven't been going out and things like that. Okay, and then my top 3 supplements, number 2 would be omega-3 fish oil. Now this one I am very, very, very passionate about. Polyunsaturated fatty acids is something that I studied in my last year of uni, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm not talking about cod liver oil here, by the way. No, not cod liver oil, because with the cod liver oil, the dose of what we actually need, the actual real active ingredients are very, very, very low when it comes to cod liver. Cod liver, again, that was more of a marketing thing, and also because it does contain a little bit of vitamin A and a vitamin D as well. But you want pure fish oil only, and if anything, really, I think everybody should be taking this, because there's something called, if you look on the bottle, for those who do have omega-3s in your house, look at the back of the bottle. Don't look at the total fish oil. I want you to look at something called EPA and DHA. These are responsible for improving our brain cognition, are also responsible for improving our eyesight as well. And more importantly, for those who may have achy joints and things like that, no, fish oil does not act like DW40 and lubricate your joints so it's like less squeaky. Nah, that's not how it works. The way it works is in that omega-3s actually switch off the inflammatory pathways within you. So every medical condition is actually a form of inflammation. So those who may be experiencing arthritis and anything of that nature, psoriasis, eczema, dermatitis, conditions like that, usually that is a form of inflammation manifesting via the skin instead, you see. And then also arthritis, etc. That's inflammation manifesting within the joints. You see where I'm trying to go with this? Any form of inflammation can actually be addressed using omega-3. Obviously with this one, err on the side of caution in relation to if you're taking blood thinners, as it does have a blood thinning effect. But honestly, I highly my colleague I work with, even he hears me banging on about omega-3s, and actually he started taking it, and he actually said even his mental aptitude has improved. He says he's jumping out of bed and things like that, especially in the winter where normally he may not have been that way inclined. Clearly a lot of benefits. To me, that sounds like nature's multivitamin. And with that one, really, when I mentioned that EPA and DHA figure on the back of the bottle, you want to be taking up to 2,000 of that, where the average serving for most people usually is probably giving you about 200 or 300. Clearly not enough for therapeutic purposes. And I highly recommend liquid versions, because a lot of the time, again, I'll share a link for the brands that I like. Lionheart does a really good one. They do really small tablets as well. But liquid versions are better because 1 teaspoon and you literally get your 2,000 dose in one. But the average omega-3 supplement you get out of it from Holland and Barrett and places like that, the tablets are this chunky. And you're going to have to take about 8 of them if you want it to be therapeutic, I guarantee you that. 8 of those a day. No thanks. So opt for a liquid, is what I would say. Okay, so that was supplement number 2, omega-3. Now, the top 3, number 3 supplement now I think you should all have or be taking if you're going to be taking anything would be probiotics. Probiotics are something that are very, very, very underrated, okay? Probiotics, these are basically good bacteria. Okay, now another version of probiotics, a natural version of that would be in yogurt. Things like yogurt contain, talk about bifidobacterium and all of these, your Yakults and things like that. Those are probiotics. That's probiotics that we're talking about there. And probiotics, they are, so your gut has a very delicate balance between good and bad bacteria, and the key is to just have the good just tipping over versus the bad bacteria. And probiotics, those are the good bacteria. Now, if you have been taking antibiotics within the last 3 to 6 months, honestly, I highly recommend you go out there and you get yourself some probiotics, okay? Because antibiotics actually kill all the good gut flora. They don't discriminate. Whatever condition you have, they're just out here like wiping everything out, literally. And that's where a good general practitioner will always tell you to take a good probiotic alongside your antibiotic or straight after. Now, probiotics are absolutely amazing purely because, say for example with immunity, 70% of your immune system is found within your gut. Did you know? 70%, and that's a lot to do with the good bacteria. So you can imagine things like, for example, when I have any patients who have any stomach issues, usually probiotics will fix that. Skin conditions as well. If you want beautiful glowing skin like mine, probiotics. Honestly, you want to be looking after your gut, and it goes beyond just that. Also, our gut is responsible for producing some of those feel-good hormones, and if things are not working right or not balanced there, I guarantee you, usually, the lack of balance in terms of the good and the bad bacteria is usually what the issue probably will be. So I highly recommend probiotics. Opt for something multi-strained. If you're in the UK or wherever in the world you are, if you have a brand called Optibac, I find that one to be quite a cost-effective one. It's got a few different strains, so different types of bacterium contained within that. Now, of course, that's where I can help. As a practitioner, different conditions may require a specific type of strain to actually address whatever the issue might be. But honestly, if you suffer from rosacea or any issues like that, probiotics are absolutely amazing to help with that, is what I would recommend. And of course, in terms of food sources, in terms of dosage, if you like, for probiotics, yeah, it's usually something along the lines of 2,000 plus CFU, depending on, again, strain type and what you're trying to address. But it's not so much about the dose, but the consistency with how long you take a probiotic. You need to be taking it for some time for it to proliferate within your gut and literally populate accordingly. So well and good take, unless you have a really bad condition and you need a blast, like a mega dose one time, then fine. But generally speaking, I say it's not so much about the dose, but more the actual consistency of you taking it. That's what's more important, is what I would say. Okay, so let's have a look and see if we have any questions, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? So that's my top 3 supplements that I recommend that you have in your cupboard, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, vitamin D3, something ideally 1,000 or so international units or more. Number 2, I recommend a good fish oil, omega-3. And then number 3, I recommend probiotics. Probiotics, the good bacteria. Like, don't waste your money on Yakult and all those kind of things. If you're going to do the food version, then just stick to your yogurt, your kefir, things like that. I did a whole post and conversation about how to boost your gut health, and probiotics were included within that. So scroll back down and somewhere along the line if you want to find out more about that. And then, yes, probiotics, of course. So let's have a look. Any questions? I'm trying to keep this really punctual and stay in line with the time that I said I would be. Any questions? Anybody online? Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Or have I been good and addressed everything? I will endeavor to share links and stuff to all of this I've discussed. What I'll be doing is also, there will be an article to actually accompany this, whereby I go into a little bit more detail, something that's about a 4 or 5 minute read. And usually I find it easy to include the links within that, in terms of my favorite food state brands, if you like. But yes, so that was my top 3 supplements that I think we should all be taking. Remember, we don't all need supplements, but if you are going to take supplements, make sure it's specific and targeted. Don't just be taking stuff just because. Otherwise, well and truly, you're wasting your money. And I don't want to see you waste your money. Don't waste your money. Give me your money. Nah, don't waste your money, honestly. Sometimes you don't need it. Only take something when you know that you need it, because you advise so, not just because you're plugging a gap out of fear, because you feel like your diet may not be providing it for you. Don't believe in that at all. Let's be more targeted and specific with what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen. But got 2 more minutes with you guys. 2 more minutes. No questions on Facebook, so we're good there. Nothing on Instagram either. But yes, so we're up to 28 minutes. I'll give it another minute or 2 in case anybody would like to ask a question. Otherwise, you have been tuned in to this week's episode of Top Tip Tuesday. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, you have been an absolutely fantastic audience, as always. If you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them underneath, and I'll be more than happy to answer those after. But other than that, thank you for joining me. My name is Genesis, aka the Nutri Guy. This has been Top Tip Tuesday, the supplement series. Other than that, I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.